Good morning, and welcome to Franklin Grove Estate and Gardens. My name is David Garrett. I'm the chairman of the board of directors of the Heritage Foundation. And I first want to thank all of you for being here and my board for their continued support of this project and the Heritage Foundation. I'd also sincerely like to thank the foundation's dedicated staff, our elected officials, including Franklin Mayor Ken Moore, and all of our donors and sponsors. You know, the Heritage Foundation is a 56-year-old nonprofit dedicated to preserving, promoting, and advocating for the historic places, stories, culture, and history that make this region of Tennessee so special. We bring this mission to life with our 4 divisions. The amazing Franklin Theater, our History and Culture Center, Franklin Grove, and the Downtown Franklin Association, which is best known for the annual street festivals. As you know, we just wrapped up Pumpkin Fest had over 115,000 people in downtown Franklin last weekend. And today's weather reminds us that Dickens of a Christmas is just around the corner. Last month, we celebrated the golden anniversary of the Heritage Ball, and what a spectacular evening that was. You know, the ball is our biggest annual fundraising event, and it's also the longest running black tie event in Williamson County. If all this isn't enough, our state and local preservation advocacy work continues, while we also prepare to open the doors of the new History and Cultural Center later this year. But today, we're focusing on the next steps for Franklin Grove Estate and Gardens, yet another property that's being saved by the Heritage Foundation. I'd like to welcome at this point Barry Beasley, our president and CEO, to the stage. Barry?
I'd like to share more about this gorgeous 5.2-acre campus in the heart of downtown Franklin. Franklin Grove Estate and Gardens began with a vision. That vision was paired with a need, and that need was to save this iconic property from development that could have removed it from the public fabric of the community forever. This property dates to the mid-1800s, and it's described as the home of, quote, a female seminary at Franklin Grove, end quote, in an 1834 advertisement in a newspaper. Not only have we brought the property back to a historic name of Franklin Grove, but we're bringing back many of the elements to their original use. This site was home of O'Moore College of Design for nearly 40 years, and now it will be a landmark destination that creates a sense of place, timelessness, and beauty for all people to engage with education, art, history, nature, and community. This visionary reuse of the historic property stands as the largest preservation project in the 56-year history of the Heritage Foundation. Franklin Grove Estate and Gardens will be a haven for history, art, culture, and education, focusing on the deep roots and traditions of Williamson County. Our plans for the property include an art museum, a historic African-American segregation-era Rosenwald School, an innovation center for local startup businesses, and beautiful natural gardens and green space. In 2021, we proudly completed a large-scale rehabilitation and restoration on the historic Haynesbury home, here just behind me, and we grand opened it as the Lehue Mansion, home to Williamson Inc.'s Center for Innovation, Williamson County's first incubator for entrepreneurs. A few years prior to that, in 2018, we saved the endangered Rosenwald School, Lee Buckner School, which was built in 1927. The school is currently located in Spring Hill, Tennessee, but will be moving to this property and be used as an education hub for the foundation and its divisions. It's really just a monumental day. This is so exciting. It's a long time coming. I'm very excited about the months ahead as we continue to work to make all of this a reality. Now I'd like to welcome someone very, very dear to me to the stage to say a word, Miss Georgia Harris. She is a former student of Lee Buckner. As I just mentioned, will be a huge piece of the concept for this property. And she's going to say a few words about the school.
Well, I'm sorry I'm so short. But I just want to tell you how this Rosenwald School started. I love history and I love doing genealogy. And so Rick Warwick is the most interesting person I ever met. He knows all the history, I think. But in his office, he has history of Franklin back in 1942, maybe further back, on VHS tapes. And he also found, when they cleaned out the old jail, a bunch of records about slaves when they was, after slavery was over anyway. And I was reading in this book, and I found my great-great-great-grandfather when he was a slave, and with his check, because he couldn't read and write. So I went to get this book from Rick, and he was talking about a school, a Rosenwald School. And I said, what is that? And he explained it to me. And I said, well, I went to one of those schools. And he said, is it still standing? I said, yes. He said, where is it? And I told him, and next thing I know, the Heritage, they bought it. And I was so excited that they bought my school. That's my school. I started school there when they was in the church. I think I was like 5 years old. I wasn't really on the road. The teacher would let you come. Miss Geneva Fuller, who later became Brownlow, she'd let you come to school, and she'd give me a book, and it's like she taught me. And I thought she knew more than anybody I ever seen, and her writing was really great. And of course, I left school, left that school, and I moved to Nashville with my mom. I think I may have finished the 2nd or 3rd grade or somewhere there. And then I came back and left again, but I finished the 8th grade there. So it's like part of me. Sometimes I may shed a little tears. But I'm just so thankful for the Heritage Society for working so hard to get this school here. It's been a hard time, and for a while I thought that it wasn't going to happen. But it's happening. And I'm so excited that it's going to be sitting on this lot. I thank all of you all that have helped with this. And I'm so thankful that I got my 3 children with me today. That's all I have to say.
It's hard to speak after that. I want to say thank you to Georgia. Your dedication to the project has been very inspiring. There's never been a day I've sat at City Hall where Rosenwald was ever on the agenda that she hasn't been sitting beside me, and I'm very, very grateful. With a grand vision like ours for this project, you have to assemble numerous people with diverse experience and subject matter expertise. We've done just that, and we've been working tirelessly to bring this vision to reality. I'd now like to introduce a dear friend, Jim Cross, President and Managing Partner of Oversight, who is our owner's representative for the project. Jim?
Thank you, Barry. Good morning. Before I start, I want to say that Oversight is extremely honored and excited to be a part of this project. It's a great way to preserve this outstanding piece of property and the cultural asset that will be added here to Franklin and for generations to come is just it's a great opportunity to be involved with that. I'd like to take some time this morning to introduce the team that's going to be working on this project, but before I do, we'd also like to recognize Belinda Stewart Architects, Cyril Stewart, and Trey Formay. They worked on the master plan for this project for several months now, and we want to recognize the efforts that they put into this project. We're pleased to announce this morning that 906 Architecture, represented today by Mike Hathaway, Brandon Pretty, and Aaron Rogers, will be the architects for the final phase of the project, and they're seated back here. Also represented today is American Constructors, or representing American Constructors today is Derek Martin, who's right here. So we're excited to work with them, and our lead project manager for the project will be Will Cross, who is seated somewhere. He's standing back there. We'd also like to recognize the consultants and engineers that will continue to work on this project, who have worked on this project. Chris Barkley with HDLA Architects, mechanical and structural engineering firm Genesis Engineering, and Reagan Smith, the civil engineer, and museum consultant James Vokert, and capital projects consultant Meg Hershey. And as I said, these will continue to work on the project. Again, thank you, Barry, and to the Heritage Foundation Board for giving us the opportunity to be involved with this project. Barry?
I know it's cold. We have just a few more moments, but something really important to share. Legacy projects like Franklin Grove do not just happen. In addition to the hard work of our Heritage Foundation staff, our board, our volunteers, and the community at large, it's also the heartfelt generosity of our donors who make this possible. And I have some here today who I would like to acknowledge and tell you a word or two about. And it all starts with Sandra Morris. Sandra was the first person who raised her hand and said, I see this vision. She helped to write this vision. The beautiful gardens that you're going to see, really, she is the mastermind behind the vision of that. And I thank you, Sandra, for your leadership in stepping forward as our initial giver to make sure that this happened. And specifically, I appreciate Sandra for her support of the Robert N. Moore Jr. Museum of Art, which will be this space. In addition, Sandra has named the Secret Garden at Franklin Grove. It is in honor of Sandra Morris and in memory of Sarah L. Morris and Madison J. Morris. The Moore Jewel Box Garden in honor of Robert N. Moore Sr., Catherine M. Moore, and Robert N. Moore Jr. And the Jewel Box Garden Urn in honor of the Jackson and Morris families. Thank you, Sandra. I also want to say a heartfelt thank you to Calvin and Marilyn Lehue. They are innovators in this town. Everybody who has been in Franklin a while knows that so much has been saved and preserved, and the vision has been set. We're all benefiting from that vision, and I appreciate Calvin and Marilyn in their support of the Lehue Mansion, which is behind us. I'm thankful and appreciative to my dear, wonderful Emily McGidd, who has stepped forward on every project the Heritage Foundation has put forward. And if I remember correctly, we started talking about Lee Buckner. We had purchased it, we're saving it, wanting it to move it here and restore it. And it was the most unbelievable moment as a fundraiser, because I don't think I asked her for anything. I think she was raising her hand in a board meeting, I'll give, I'll give, I'll give. And that's how all that happened. And that is true to form for who Emily is. So thank you so much, Emily. Here on the front row are my precious dear friends, Steve and Kay George. I'm so grateful to the Georges. I first met them probably during the pandemic. We actually went out to lunch one day and we got to know one another. And they are neighbors here at Franklin Grove, and we have become just such dear friends, and they're supporting us in everything, not only with a history wall here, which will be a part of our education hub, but also they are huge supporters of our History and Culture Center, which we're going to be having a big celebration on the 11th. So I just appreciate all of the ways that they have shown leadership in Franklin. Thank you to the Georges. I want to thank Wendy and Vince Dunavant. Wendy had the longest tenure, I think, of anybody that was on my team. 16 years she served as our CFO. So Wendy has been through more festivals and more everything that the Heritage Foundation produces. There's Wendy. And Wendy and Vince are also neighbors of this project. She's been so excited since day one when we went through the process of acquiring the property. And Wendy and Vince are just quiet leaders in this town, and I'm so grateful. So thank you both so much for the celebration lawn will be named for the Dunavant family. And this brings me to Ed Silva, our wonderful Silva family. They are here on the front row. And I want to share, for the first time probably publicly, that the street here will forevermore be named Ed Silva Way. Yay! I think we went to lunch and we talked about this, and then I saw him a few days later and he said, that's the most expensive lunch I've ever had. But Ed is the person who was a driver. He was the first president of our Downtown Franklin Association. Streetscape happened under his leadership. He's been president of our board, and Ed and his family have just such generous hearts and have continued to step forward. And so if anybody knows Ed, Ed likes to have Ed Silva Way, so it will forever be Ed Silva Way at Franklin Grove. And I want to thank, I don't think they're here today, but Tyler Berry and Evelyn Swain Berry in support of the Berry Family Gathering Hall, the Berry Family Garden Retreat, and the Berry Family Dooryard Garden. The Berry family is legendary in this town, and I'm so grateful for their leadership as well. I also don't think my precious friends Chuck and Joella McDowell are here today. But I'm so grateful to them for their support of the Drennan McDowell Oak Tree and the Drennan McDowell Gallery in the Museum of Art. The McDowells and I met when they first moved to Franklin, and they have just been generous and kind and giving to everybody in town. And if you know Chuck and Joellen, you know their hearts. So we were very grateful for the McDowells. Also, any longtime folks in Franklin have heard of Samuel M. Fleming. The Samuel M. Fleming Foundation, which is run by Fleming Wilt, his grandson, has also supported us with a Fleming Family Collaboration Space. So appreciative to the Fleming family. Miss Betty Willoughby, who is a dear, dear person in our community, and the late Dr. Willoughby. They have been involved with the Heritage Foundation for a long time, and I'm very pleased to share there will be on this property the Willoughby Wildflower Walk. I don't think Tyler and Meg Borders are here. The Borders have supported us. Tyler's on our board, and there will be a Tyler and Meg Borders Avion Oasis in the garden. I know Tracy is here. I think Senator Frist is not with us today, but Tracy is here, and Tracy's on our board. They have stood and supported us in everything, every project, everything we've done, and I'm so pleased to announce there will be a Senator Bill and Tracy Frist gallery in the Museum of Art. Yes. Ellen Smith is here with us today. Ellen Smith and the Henry Layard Smith Foundation is supporting with a colored terrace focal urn. And I must say, Ellen is one of my dearest friends, and today is her birthday. So happy birthday to Ellen. A couple of other names that I want to recognize. I'm very grateful to Kix and Barbara Brooks for their support of this project, David and Vivian Garrett, Bo and Debbie Seegers. Bo's on our board. Thank you, Bo, for being here, and thank you for your support. I want to thank the Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development and the State Tennessee Historical Commission for a grant we've received for the restoration of the Winstead House. And I want to thank all of the other supporters that I haven't listed today. And lastly, I see Gordon Inman is here, and I want to thank First Bank for being our financial partner on this project. Thank you to First Bank. And lastly, I do want to say that this campaign is not finished. This is a transformative moment for Franklin. There's still funds to be raised. We have 3 big announcements of transformative gifts that we will talk about at the grand opening. And there are many other ways to plug in. If you want to volunteer with us in this process, if you want to consider making a gift, please know that it would be something we would be so grateful for, and it's legacy. This is a legacy project, and so I appreciate any consideration of additional support. So now we have a few folks who are going to join us for, this is the first time I've ever done this, an actual groundbreaking. And after that, when we finish the groundbreaking, we get a couple of photos, we have drinks and food inside, and we want to celebrate with all of you on this special day. So please, after this part, join us inside for a moment of celebration. Thank you.
Get your shovel in the dirt. Look up and smile, yeah? All right, come around. Here, right, real quick. Run around. There you go. Tell us when you're ready. All right, y'all. 1, 2, 3.